Is your home an ADT home? If not, you have to get ADT and help protect against break-ins, fire, and carbon monoxide. For a limited time, get ADT's lowest rate starting at just $28.99 a month from the most trusted name in home security. Go to ADT.com/podcast to take advantage of ADT's lowest rate.
With 36-month monitoring contract, early termination and installation fees apply. Excludes taxes and fees. Applies to traditional services only. Certain markets excluded. Licenses available at ADT.com.
Listen up, people. We got a big favor to ask, and we promise it won't take too much of your time. You know our show's supported by some fantastic sponsors, right? Well, we'd love to hear your feedback. Head to ESPNpodcaststudy.com and fill out a short, anonymous survey. That's it. We swear. No more. Again, that's ESPNpodcaststudy.com. Golic and Wingo, ESPN Radio and ESPN News, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, and you can leave us a voicemail at 860-506-5505. Mike Golic, Trey Wingo here with you. Just had our annual chat with Adam Silver before the draft coming up tomorrow on ESPN Radio and ESPN, and obviously a lot of discussion points to go into talking with Adam.
Yeah, and certainly, again, in a few years, we'll be back to seeing high school seniors being drafted again. It certainly seems to be trending that way, and as he explained, and we had talked about, again, why it won't happen until at least 2021 or 2022. There are already trades that had been made in the past that involve top draft picks, so they want to wait till a lot of those that could involve a high school senior right now. If you change the rule, it won't be until a lot of those trades are over and done with, so you can kind of start with a clean slate as far as that's concerned.
Right, and that's just one tip of the iceberg. I wish we could have had Adam on for an hour because there are a lot of other topics we wanted to get into. Get rid of the one-and-done rule means what exactly going forward? Will the G League be an alternative? Will there be something else that they'll try and create to make it more lucrative? Will there be a situation they work with the NCAA that says, hey, listen, they're going to try this. If it doesn't work, is it a possibility they still have eligibility? Something that we talked about with Lon Kruger, the Oklahoma head coach, which certainly makes sense, Mike, if you think about it, because, you know, baseball players can go make millions of dollars. Kyler Murray, the quarterback at Oklahoma, and still come back and be considered an amateur athlete.
I think what's already been progressive by the NBA, and I do appreciate them doing this, is players can declare for the draft. They can go through the prep of the draft, and then they can decide. They have a date till they can decide, okay, you know what, I'm going to go back to college.
Right.
Where in the NFL, basically it's January 15th. Yeah. You sign it right then. And once you do that, you're out. You cannot go back to college. I do like the fact that the NBA lets you get some work in to see the GMs look at you and see where you are. Now, the NFL does their own thing of saying you put your name in, and they'll have people kind of give you a thought process of where you could be. But you don't do any of those after things, the combine and all that. You're already committed to go into the NFL. You can't come back. Now in the NBA, you can. So I do like that being progressive. Where you're talking about in Lon Kruger is another step, obviously, past that.
Well, and then there's the issue of that you can be put in the baseball draft, and you can get drafted and still say no thank you and go back if you don't like where you're drafted and still have amateur status. Right. You know, I would like to see that translate to the NFL draft at some point. You thought you were going here. Maybe you aren't. You know what? I'm going to pull back and try again.
They'd have to figure out a lot with recruiting because you have to change when the signing date is because you don't know what you need, and then you think you need this, and then the guy comes back and you don't need that anymore. So obviously there's a bit of a domino effect going on there.
But all of this is because the coaches, I don't want to have to worry about that. Yeah, that's what it is. I got it really good set up right now. I don't have to deal with all those other variables.
And again, when we're talking about the NCAA, remember it's baby steps.
Correct. Yes.
Okay? It's very, very, very small steps.
It might be baby crawling more than baby steps. This hour of Golic and Wingo brought to you by La Quinta Inns and Suites. Book at LQ.com and win at business. And we'll start winning with what's trending. Domingo Germán tossed 2-hit ball over a career-high 7 innings, which was nice, but the Bombers were out in force. Giancarlo Stanton hit one of New York's 4 home runs in that 7-2 win against the Mariners.
Yeah, again, 118 home runs so far. That's tied with the 2000 Cardinals for the amount of home runs hit in the first 70 games. The Mariners in 99 hold the record with 130. They got the boppers out there, and they have a number of them, and I keep bringing up a number of them that are still not paid yet. So,
yeah, it's crazy.
You know, it's kind of like that. Now, listen, it's not comparable to the NFL because that's a hard salary cap. Even Adam Silver was talking about that, and we know it's different in baseball and in football. But how it changes when you all of a sudden you have to pay that quarterback, how your salary cap changes and who you can have. Well, to a point, it's depending on what an owner wants to pay extra when you all of a sudden have to start pay guys. And right now, some of the, only Stanton's the only big bopper they are really paying monster money to right now. All the other guys incrementally will come up in a few years or so to try and get that money.
And Mike, that leads us to the bigger point that the Yankees are going to have to deal with at some point. Right now, they are one of 4 teams in the American League on pace for 100 games. 4 of them. 2 are in the AL East, the Yankees and the Red Sox. The other 2 are in another division as well, the Mariners and the Rangers. So it means we could have 2 teams with 100 wins.
Mariners and the Astros.
And the Astros. What did I say?
The Rangers.
Yeah, the Rangers are done. I'm sorry, I meant the Astros. That means we have 2 teams potentially with 100 wins that will win that 1-game playoff. Yeah. 1-game playoff to keep your postseason alive. And the Yankees know that the starting pitching for them is probably the weakest of those 4 teams. So they've got to find a way, which one of these young pieces that we know we love are we willing to part with to get us that pitching we need to maybe avoid that 1-game playoff.
That could get interesting, or at least the talk will get interesting. A lot of times the talk is more interesting than what actually happens, but at least it gives us something to talk about.
Yeah, well, in this business,
there you go.
I'm all in on that. All right, we continue. What's trending is it's time for our World Cup update. I'm glad we voted on that and we got the right one. Jer Bear nailed it. Russia took one step closer to the round of 16 with a 3-1 win over Egypt, although Mo Salah did score for the Pharaohs. All Russia now needs to advance to the round of 16 is 1 point from Uruguay against Saudi Arabia today. As for Egypt, the loss puts them on the brink of elimination despite its star Salah starting and scoring.
Play that again. 4th minute. Portugal up 1-0 on Morocco. Goal by Cristiano Ronaldo.
Oh, my gosh.
How about that? His 4th goal now. A hat-trick in the first game. Already has a goal in the 4th minute in this game. Portugal up 1-0 over Morocco.
By the way, ESPN Stats and Info, which is a great Twitter follow that I follow, tweeted this 6 minutes ago. How will Cristiano Ronaldo follow up his hat-trick from Portugal's opener? Only 4 of the previous 20 players who record a hat-trick scored in their next match at the World Cup. Update, it's now 5 because Cristiano Ronaldo has done it. Portugal with the lead 1-0, which is good news for, who is it? Oh, Devin. Devin
and Mike and I have Morocco, so it's bad for me. I didn't think.
And you were the only one that got shut out yesterday.
I got shut out yesterday. I have 2 games today. I have this game, and then who's the other one I have? I also have
Uruguay.
I have Uruguay, and I think I like my chances there against Saudi Arabia, and Iran is against Spain today as well. So, but right now, 4th minute, Portugal up on a Cristiano Ronaldo goal, his 4th goal in the World Cup. Wow.
And again, the knock against him and Messi, although Messi had a couple of goals in 2014, is that at this stage they hadn't really come through. And then what does Ronaldo do? He takes Portugal to the Euro final and then gets hurt in that game, but they win the Euros in 2016, and now 2 games in, or I'm sorry, 1 game and 7.5 minutes in, he's already got 4 goals in 2018. How about this?
From 2006 to 2014 World Cup matches, 13 for Ronaldo, 3 goals. Yeah. Right now, as you mentioned, a game and not even a quarter, 4 goals.
1 game and 8 minutes in, he's already topped what he's done in every other World Cup. Unbelievably solid start by Cristiano Ronaldo. We'll see what happens with Portugal going forward in the tournament. Yeah, it's time to go naked.
Well,
Saquon Barkley of the Giants, Olympic figure skater Adam Rapon, Breanna Stewart and Sue Bird, and the U.S. women's national team and Seattle Reign forward Megan Rapinoe are part of ESPN the Magazine's Body 10 issue. The issue will be on newsstands June 29th.
It's impressive. This is an impressive issue of what these athletes do and how they look and the pictures that they get. Others involved in this?
Yep.
Hall of Famers, a couple of them, football, or one, Jerry Rice.
Yes.
And golf's Greg Norman.
And Greg Norman has stayed remarkably fit over the years.
Probably have his wine with him.
Well, I would be strategically placed, I would imagine.
Minnesota Timberwolves center Karl Anthony Towns.
Yes.
Involved in this.
And perhaps my favorite member of this year's ESPN The Body issue?
Yeah.
Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
Zlatan is in this issue as well as from the Astros, Cy Young Award-winning pitcher Dallas Keuchel.
There you go.
With that beard.
Yasiel Puig as well. But I'm wondering, I just can't wait to see what Zlatan says about the shoot.
Oh, my God. I'm sure it'll be, you're welcome,
you're
world.
Welcome. Exactly. Yeah. Enjoy.
The body issue. Could you imagine if they said, hey, Trey, we want to put you in the body issue after you throw up?
No. That's a hard pass for me. And by the way, I'm thinking of everyone else when I say that.
I'd have to be in the center page, and there'd have to be some well-placed staples. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
Okay.
But explain it. No, don't.
Right.
Don't.
Never mind.
There's no chance ever. Golic and Wingo presented by 1-800-Flowers.com. Surprise a friend or loved one today with a bouquet from 1-800-Flowers.com. When you order a dozen multicolored roses for only $29.99, you'll get another dozen absolutely free. Go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. So we are getting set for the NBA draft tomorrow. It is interesting to me, Mike, when you look at the dynamic between the NBA and the NFL. I think it's clear, especially in professional sports, the two most popular sports in this country, the NFL and the NBA. Now, you can make an argument that college football is probably second on that list.
Up in there, yeah.
But the NBA has taken off in popularity, even though it was a 4-game sweep in the finals. This past year, the ratings were up. People complaining about dynasties. Guess what? They watch them. Okay, they always do, no matter what the sport is. Yeah. You always say, it's the same old teams. Oh, but they're playing. So we'll watch them. So the question then becomes the difference between the NFL draft and the NBA draft. And we are going to talk a lot about the NBA draft today and tomorrow and on Friday. We talk about the NFL draft basically from March 1st till the end of April. It is a different conversation because of the level of interest. And I find that interesting for the two different and most popular sports in the country.
Especially because the NBA, what they've done in the last couple of, forgetting the season, the off seasons, their off seasons have been so intriguing. And a lot of that is because now the players have the power to move. So when they have the ability to move, they move. Hence Kevin Durant a couple of years ago on July 4th. Moving and now with LeBron and now Kawhi Leonard trying to force a move. We saw Kyrie Irving forced to move. So the off seasons have been unbelievably exciting. Usually, we keep talking about the NFL and year round you can talk about it, but the NBA, the last couple of off seasons and certainly including this off season, maybe more than any other. Well, again, we're talking about them big time in the off season.
When it's the summer of LeBron, it's always going to be interesting.
It really is.
By the way, I'm just watching a replay of Ronaldo's goal. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
A header diving forward. I mean, really amazing stuff. So as the NBA draft is coming up, as we said, tomorrow night, you can see it on ESPN, listen to it on ESPN Radio. Of all these players we've talked about, which one are you most interested in seeing and their progression going forward?
I am still intrigued by the big man who's not the big man anymore.
Yeah.
It's the 7-footer, the 7-1 guys who play away from the basket. DeAndre Ayton, who may go number one. Either he or it seems like Luka Doncic are going to go number one. Now, Doncic, that 6'8 guy that can pass the ball incredibly well, a ball handler of that size. And again, Phoenix, who has the first pick, their new coach, Coach Doncic. So, right. That there is that relationship there. But Ayton, Mo Bamba, 7-footer, especially Ayton at 7'1", like 260. You see video of him shooting threes. The way these guys play away from the basket is just a different game. Amazing. Because again, I don't think you realize it until you're up close and you see just how big they are. You watch it on TV and everybody kind of running around kind of looks the same. You're there in person and you see the size of them and you see how well they move. That's why I said I think basketball players are the best athletes on the planet.
Yeah.
For how they move at the size they are blows my mind. So that always intrigues me over the great smaller guy. Now, Doncic isn't smaller. It's 6'8".
Right.
But it's always that 6'11", that 7'1" guy in the day and age of today and how they move away from the basket. How different it is when even I was growing up, or even my kids were growing up playing basketball. They were usually the biggest on the team.
Post player.
You put them right in the post and you throw them the ball. It wasn't even a question that you did that. But I go back to when I was in high school, and he was 2 years ahead of me watching Clark Kellogg. One of you want to talk about LeBron in high school. Clark Kellogg in high school was one of the biggest phenoms there was. Went to Ohio State, had some injuries obviously in the NBA that really kind of shortened his career. But in high school, this dude was 6'8", 6'9", and he would not only post, but he would bring the ball up.
Yeah.
In watching that guy that big at that time, you're talking in the late 70s. Seeing a guy 6'8", 6'9", bringing the ball up
unheard of
was amazing.
Yeah.
Now, I memean, it's the norm. Now these guys are point guards at times. So I'm always amazed at the big men and how they can do that.
And Doncic again is 6'8". I love we obviously he's done everything you could possibly do over where he's been playing. for Real Madrid. But I love it. He's listed as 6'8", his age, and then they have wingspan, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
Not available.
How
do you, you can just look at him in video and measure it, right? There's no problem there. But the other thing that's really interesting is this is a big thing with Jay Billis. He loves wingspan more than anything else. Mo Bamba has shattered the mark.
Yes, he has.
His wingspan is 7'9".
Yeah.
And that, look.
He just had to be himself and he broke a record.
Correct. Just show up and he's there.
Put your arms out.
Do this.
You set a
stretch
record.
From side to side, 7 feet 9 inches across, which, for defending purposes is crazy. I'll tell you the one guy who I'm really fascinated with in this draft, besides Doncic, because we want to know, we want to see if it can translate here, is Michael Porter. Michael Porter Jr.
Well, yeah, because the unknown.
Hey, look, I was talking to our good friend Carol Lawson, who was going to join us tomorrow. Right. She's doing the draft for ESPN Radio, and she believes that he is arguably, at worst, the third best player in this draft. Now, he obviously didn't play all of last year because of the back surgery, and then the hip flared up, and that's not a concern. But the back thing is interesting. I do think he could be very, very dynamic. Yeah. Okay, let's get more into this with our ESPN NBA insider, Adrian Wojnarowski, who joins us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Woj, the draft, we were just talking about Michael Porter Jr., and the issue with the hip, obviously, is a smaller concern. A reconstructed back, obviously, or surgically repaired back at his age is a bigger concern. At his age, and the fact that he's had little playing time in college, could he go higher than people are saying right now, or do you think he's slotted in toward the back end of the top 10?
Well, his range is as wide as anybody's in this draft, and I think he's very much in play at number 8 with Cleveland. I believe he'll go in the lottery. This is a talent who, if he had played his college season, if he had been healthy, we'd be talking about him in 1, 2, 3. But teams are all pouring through his medical information now, and different doctors and different organizations are going to make usually different recommendations to their front offices about whether what kind of risk he is, and the risk for him drops as he goes further in the draft. He becomes a more palatable choice the further down you go. But he'll go in the lottery.
Yeah, right now the ultimate grade A mock draft has him going number 6 to Orlando. So we'll see. We'll find out tomorrow. And I guess when will we find out, or what's going on now that we found out that Gregg Popovich had a sit down with Kawhi Leonard in LA? So where are we with this whole situation?
Well, Kawhi Leonard's intent going into the meeting was to, make clear, really expand on his trade request that came publicly last week before it came privately with the organization. And, he in his mind, he's at the end with the Spurs and he wants to be moved. Whether or not Popovich made any progress with Leonard last night is unclear to me at this point. But he's been very adamant privately. That was a very public trade request.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was that's the way you do it when you're not happy, the way that came out and the way it was handled. And so he's got a year left on his deal, and, he can make it clear to teams that I'm told his preference is to be in LA and to be with the Lakers in 2019. He's a Southern California native. And, he can do what Paul George tried to do last year, which was tell teams, if you trade for me, I will just be a rental. Now, Oklahoma City rolled the dice. They made a lot of progress with Paul George, and they're very much in the mix to keep him. Will another team give up significant assets with the hope that they can re-sign Kawhi Leonard? People will give up something. There's no question. And that's what the Spurs are going to have to figure out here. Do they want to continue to try to repair the relationship, buy themselves some time? It worked with LaMarcus Aldridge last summer. This is a different situation. And at some point, the Spurs are going to have to, probably really start to engage teams to find a trade and see what's the best possible package that they can get back for him. But their hope is to repair this and try to convince him to stay there. It's not going great.
Adrian Wojnarowski with us, Bristol's finest, talking about the NBA draft coming up and what's going on in free agency. Woj, how important is Kawhi Leonard to what LeBron eventually does, or are they completely separate?
Well, I think that LeBron, especially with the Lakers, I think part of LeBron's decision with the Lakers will be who else is coming or who else can they get. Now, they could potentially be able to bring in two big free agents this summer. One, if one was LeBron, the other would, likely or he'd hope would be Paul George. But he could also look at it and say, even if the Lakers can't execute a trade for Kawhi Leonard now, if he wants to be there in 2019, the team would have the cap space. He could hope that Leonard comes next year or another great player comes next year. But the Lakers' best chance of getting LeBron James is to have another significant player be ready to walk in the door with him now. So there's no question they're related. And I know part of Leonard's thinking is he's got a chance to accelerate the building of a roster with the Lakers quicker than the Clippers. And there is some interest in the Clippers. It's LA. It's a significant organization, but I think he sees the Lakers as a better opportunity right now to win sooner.
Woj, what, if any, conversation has LeBron or his people had with the Cavaliers?
I know that his agent, Rich Paul, stays in steady contact with Kobe Altman, their general manager. LeBron usually isolates himself this time of year. He's done that with the other two times he was headed to free agency, Cleveland and Miami, and that was kind of expected, and he'll let his agent converse with them. But I know they talk regularly. Now, his agent also has a couple other clients on the team. And so the Cavs are still in this, though. They're still very much a consideration for him. And I think people who have been quick to rule them out, I think there's a chance he still stays there. And it might be more of a lifestyle decision than a basketball decision. But regardless, he could – all of these star players, they can do one-year deals and revisit this again next year. He doesn't have to do a 4 or 5 year deal. He can continue down the road of taking it 1 year at a time. And, but we'll see as we get into July how this unfolds.
Woj, real quickly, as we're up against the clock, how much of what happens tomorrow night with Cleveland and the draft will tell us what happens with LeBron?
I don't think at number 8 that whoever they pick is going to have a great impact on his decision. They have a chance to get a good player there, and they're going to look at trades. They're going to look at scenarios of maybe trading down and seeing if they can bring back a player and a pick a little bit later. They're looking at a lot of scenarios. I know the Cavs have talked to teams about trying to move up in the draft too.
Woj, you're the best. And by the way, that podcast you did with Schefter reminds me of that Spider-Man theme where they're both pointing at each other. Hey, wait, you're me and I'm you. That's exactly what that was. First thing I thought of. Appreciate you being with us, Woj.
I appreciate it, guys.
Hey everyone, Mike Golic here. Support for the Golic Wingo podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. With Rocket Mortgage, you can apply simply and understand fully so you can mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS consumeraccess.org number 3030. Is your home an ADT home? If not, you have to get ADT and help protect against break-ins, fire, and carbon monoxide. For a limited time, get ADT's lowest rate starting at just $28.99 a month from the most trusted name in home security. Go to ADT.com/podcast to take advantage of ADT's lowest rate.
With 36-month monitoring contract, early termination and installation fees apply. Excludes taxes and fees. Applies to traditional services only. Certain markets excluded. Licenses available at ADT.com.
Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio, ESPN News, presented by Progressive Insurance. And we got soccer analyst Taylor Twellman in studio giving us the Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts.
Told you about your English.
You did.
I did.
Very good. Harry Kane, baby. Harry Kane.
So what was extra time?
Whatever. What was hold on. We need, before you
a goal's a goal, but yes.
Taylor.
That's just against my team.
More importantly, we need to ask you, this is very serious. We had to have a certain sounder for the World Cup. So we had 4, okay, and we narrowed it down, and this is the one we came up with. This is our official theme song whenever we do a World Cup update for the Russian World Cup. Good?
It's debatable.
Wow. Wow.
Because I'm not totally, my first reaction is, that's not really Russian music, is it?
It's well, we had one that was very, very Brazilian.
Give it to me one more time, please.
Here we go.
Hey, we don't want it to be all Russia. I mean, it's the world,
it's thematic,
isn't it?
though.
True, but the World Cup is in Russia. So, yeah, sure. No, it's good. I'd go with that one.
Hey, thanks for the downer. Appreciate that very much.
No, it's awesome. Good morning, guys.
Great. Good stuff. Great. Glad to have you.
Okay, so
all that work you put into it.
Can we get Bruce Arena back on?
Hold on. I'll call him.
Well, now, why would we do that?
I listened to a little bit of Taylor's comments. And although Taylor's supposed to be an expert in the game, I think he's dead wrong on a couple things.
We got to fight. We got to fight between Bruce Arena.
He's trying to sell a book, though.
Yes, he is. What's Wrong with Us is the name of that book.
Yeah. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So understandable. Okay, so what was a bigger upset yesterday, in your opinion? Was it Japan being the first Asian player or Asian team to take down a South American team in World Cup?
Yeah.
Or was it somehow, some way, the other major upset yesterday?
Senegal. Poland. That was my team.
Yeah, the hard one for me is that group coming into the World Cup, Trey and Mike, was the most interesting for me because it's the most balanced. And what I mean by that is all four teams had a legitimate argument of advancing, right? So, but when you really look at it, Colombia, the red card in the 3rd minute, that completely killed their mojo, that completely killed the game. Japan took advantage of it. The Senegal game-winning goal is the most difficult thing to explain because I've never seen it before. I've never seen a fourth official try to grab a player returning from injury on the field, telling him not to come on, while the main official, the game official, saying, come on, while the ball is in air and no one's got possession. It was the most ridiculous situation I've ever seen. Video review can't review it because nobody really expected that ever to happen.
Correct.
And in saying that, the Polish goalkeeper Szczesny makes a bonehead decision thinking, oh no, the ball's 50 yards away. I'm going to come off my line after his teammate played a bad ball in. That situation, guys, we'll never see again. I promise you that.
That's great.
We'll never see it again.
Really great. It happened with my team.
Yeah,
really happy about that.
It sounds like football's equivalent of the Fail Mary in that Monday night game a few years ago between Seattle and Green Bay with the replacement refs, right?
Something.
So the other thing that's happening today, Cristiano Ronaldo has already scored. The header was glorious. It was unbelievable. And what do you make of what he's doing in this World Cup? Because you just had the stat from 2006 to 2014 in 13 World Cup games, he had 3 goals. Yes. He already has 4 in less than a game and a half.
Because the huge pressure that is on his shoulders to win a major tournament is gone because they won the Euros
in 2016.
In 2016. And so he's come into this one kind of playing with house money, so to speak. All the pressure in the world on the superstars is on Neymar and is on Messi because he won that in France in 16. So that performance, now I don't want to be a wet blanket, but when you look at the hat trick, it was an awful mistake from David De Gea. Then it was a stupid tackle from Piqué. Yes, he's got to score the free kick. I understand that. But 2 of the 3 goals were self-inflicted from Spain. But the guy's remarkable to me. It's very similar when we're watching Tom Brady as he ages. It's almost like Cristiano's getting better.
Yeah. All right, I'm glad you said that because at first I said you rain on everybody's parade.
Yeah, usually. That's kind of what I'm kind of the cooler.
How about raining on Egypt's parade? Arguably the best player and most solid in the world, and they're showing so far.
Yeah, Golic, that's a tough one for me because that injury in the Champions League final 3.5-4 weeks ago killed it. If he plays through that, I think Liverpool has a chance of winning it, but more importantly, he stays fit. Now, he scored on a penalty yesterday, but you could tell he hadn't really been match fit. He's not fit. His match sharpness wasn't there. But it's a little surprising to me that I'm not going to say, Russia scoring 8 goals in their first 2 games is shocking.
Right.
But there's a belief in what they are. They're a little old school. They've got a big, tall striker up front. They play off of Zuba going forward. And then they all run off of him, and they're kind of in that belief. Now,
rain on that parade, because that's not a great group, is it?
It's not. Yeah, exactly what I was just going to say is that, okay, well, then Saudi Arabia, I didn't know they had a team, and then Egypt, so to speak, because the way those two teams
play today, so thanks.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. And against one of the teams that I think could surprise and go all the way to the semis. Yep. Yeah. Good luck today on Saudi Arabia.
Well, listen, look, I've been on a roll. Okay, I got a draw when Brazil played Switzerland. I got an unbelievable upset when Japan took down Colombia. I'm good. I'm playing with house money on the early rounds now. Taylor Twellman in studio with us, talking about the World Cup. Listen, we mentioned Brazil. Switzerland went at Neymar in that game. I mean, somebody referred to that as Fight Club, and I said when they did that, well, the first rule of Fight Club, you do not talk about Fight Club. How concerned are you now that Neymar has left practice with an injury?
He's fine.
No issues?
Yes, he will play Friday. Now, Brazil doesn't need Neymar to beat Costa Rica. They need Neymar to win the World Cup. So I look at that game, and here's one thing that I think the American sports fan looks at and says, well, I can't believe Neymar was fouled 10 times against Switzerland. Part of that was Neymar's fault. He was very slow. He was very methodical. He tried to do a lot through himself. And I could actually make an argument right now that if Neymar doesn't play, Brazil may be better. This is the most balanced, complete roster they've had in the last 4 or 5 World Cups. He's the cherry on top. They don't need Neymar.
Really?
The way Argentina needs Messi, and especially the way Portugal needs Cristiano Ronaldo. They need Neymar, don't get me wrong, to win the World Cup. But the problem against Switzerland, it was on him. He was too slow. He was way too slow. His decision-making, too many touches. And I'd argue that Douglas Costa, coming in, he may be a better option right now.
So overall, when you look at the World Cup, and you look at like the NCAA tournament, the basketball tournament, when early on you get upsets, but then it's kind of, most times it's chalk the rest of the way through. Did you expect the same thing here? We had some early upsets, but as this goes on, could there be a little more craziness, or do you expect chalk to kind of take hold?
It's a great question, Golic, because your first round of games, there were a couple surprises. Argentina tying Iceland, Mexico beating Germany.
Yeah, baby.
But the Mexico-Germany one has me a little, I don't know, because Sweden's a better team than people expect. I do expect the cream to rise. Don't get me wrong. But the way the first games went, i.e. Russia scoring 8 goals, Mexico winning, like I said, I don't know. We may have a few surprises that we didn't expect. And you're going to ask me, why is it that way in 2018? It's because the international game, the club football, club soccer, it's made the minnows, the smaller teams, better. Those players are more competitive now, and I think we've seen that in the first round of games.
All right, listen, we got a lot more to get with you. Can you stick around for a little bit?
Yeah, of course.
I got 10 12 in here.
To give batters a different look, pitchers throw a changeup.
Your idea of a different look is sunglasses.
That's true. But La Quinta Inns and Suites is really taking the different look thing to a new level.
Definitely a major league makeover, starting with a bolder, brighter lobby full of comfortable spaces to let you settle in.
Or chill out in front of a big flat screen like Wingo would.
Oh, you know it. It's a changing La Quinta look to help you get in the zone and look sharp when you hit that big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at LQ.com.
It's Golic and Wingo.
Who's got Tunisia? Does the staff have Tunisia?
Does it matter? I need a t-shirt that says Who's Got Tunisia. If the podcast is not named Who's Got Tunisia, we all don't need jobs tomorrow.
Sports Center brought to you by Dell. Dell Small Business Technology Advisors know there's nothing small about your business. That's why we offer one-on-one partnership and reliable business PCs with Intel Core processors to help you get business done. Give them a call, 877-BUY-DELL. That's 877-BUY-DELL.
All right, Golic and Wingo, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Our soccer analyst, Taylor Twellman, is here with us in studio. And again, I think no matter what, when we talk about the World Cup.
Okay, it's better than I thought.
Thank you.
Better than I thought. My apologies. It's growing on me.
We're just going to refer to it from now on.
Kind of like you two.
Thank you. We're like a fungus that way. It's like
shows up every month.
There you go. It's sort of like whenever I think of this, it's going to be the Who's Got Tunisia update, because that sort of is the running joke.
Tunisia, who does have Tunisia?
I think the staff had Tunisia.
I think they do.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
They also have Russia, though.
That's a good one. That's a big one for them.
Joke.
Well, let me ask you this. Because we haven't really gotten into this yet, but
okay.
You know, the thing that happened this summer in England, which was big, was the royal wedding, right? Huge deal. I think the ratings for the England-Tunisia game dwarfed the viewership for the royal wedding.
Yeah, they were better than the royal wedding.
Better than the royal wedding.
Amazing.
People don't understand. Outside, there's a soccer niche in this country that understands.
Yeah.
But I don't think the average sports fan understands how big this event is to everybody else in the world.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I do think what that conversation, Trey, has changed over the last, I'd say, 6 to 8 years.
Yes, it has.
Because it used to be, and it still is, don't get me wrong, a niche, but it's a lot bigger than the hockey niche.
Correct.
And it's a lot bigger than the baseball one. And that's the one the American sports fan has a very difficult time understanding. I'm not talking about American soccer. I'm talking about soccer in general. When you look at the business metrics of viewership, both Spanish and English, then, Trey, that's where the conversation changes.
Yes.
But I don't think people fully understand how countries literally shut down for these World Cup games.
And they're obviously screwed.
Us three are talking on ESPN radio right now. There's a couple games. There's a game on, right?
Exactly.
That doesn't happen around the world.
They're screwing it up in Russia right now, something we would never do when we host in 2026.
This will not happen in 2026.
They're running out of beer.
Yeah.
They're running.
How is that possible?
I have no idea. There's a waiter at an upscale restaurant said we just didn't think they would only want beer.
Yeah.
There's really a lot of people in Moscow, and they're all drinking. I think what happened is Russia has a high tolerance for vodka. They figured everybody would want vodka.
I was just
but when you're all day drinking, you got to do it with the beer. You do it with the vodka.
Yes. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
That's exactly right.
Well, on the other hand, though, are you really just going to order beer in Moscow? I've been to Russia.
Right.
You've got to dabble
most
a little
of the
bit.
day. I would have beer, and then you pop the the vodka and other stuff at night. But to run out of beer,
but this isn't like you said.
Come on.
This is a rager. This is an all day event. You can't start at 11 on vodka and still be going at 7 on vodka.
Although some of the SEC fans will do it.
Unless you're Russian or from the SEC.
We just want to have a good time. We don't want to ruin their lives, And then there's this. Halifax, Nova Scotia. 12-year-old boy sitting down to dinner with the family.
Yep.
I actually like this.
What does he get served? A salad.
Oh.
Got served a salad.
So what did he do?
A leafy dinner. He made his displeasure known. He called 911.
Come on.
He called 911 because his parents gave him a salad. When the cops didn't respond to his emergency in a timely fashion, he called again just to reiterate how much he hates the salad.
Smart boy. I mean,
is that unbelievable?
Call again if you're going to get attention.
But my point is,
raw tossed vegetable though.
Yeah.
Like when you read the story, it's raw tossed vegetables.
So really,
is it a salad or is it this new, Brussels sprout raw slash?
It's rabbit food is what it is.
Yeah.
It's rabbit food.
I love salads though. Obviously, when you look like I do.
If you're the cops and you get the second call, what do you say? Guy. Dude,
Well,
can I speak to the parents for a minute?
They did show up.
Yeah.
They did show up. They did not intervene on the quality and substance of the family dinner, but they did take the opportunity to educate the boy about the appropriate uses of 911.
Okay, read that sentence again. They did not intervene.
They did not intervene on the quality and substance of the family dinner.
That is the most Canadian thing ever. Right? That is the most Canadian thing ever.
Rather they use
that description of that
aggressive 100%
is the most Canadian thing ever.
We don't want to get into what you're serving the young lad.
Yeah. Hey, you guys are having a good thing, okay? So for
that's
sure,
exactly what
and
it was.
we'll just move on.
Rather, they use the unexpected house call as an opportunity to educate the boy about the appropriate use of 911. As the officer said, hopefully this will be a learning lesson. Meanwhile, the kid's parents were reportedly not impressed by their son's over-the-top cry for help. You think?
Yeah, but did the salad have dressing on it? Was it?
It's raw tossed vegetables, man.
Right, that's a big part of a salad, by the way.
Taylor, most important question we're asking you today. I got hosed a little bit thanks to Ronaldo. Spain, Portugal ties.
Yeah.
Spain's playing around today.
This is all about you. This is all about you.
It's all about
15 seconds.
Am I good with Spain?
100%. Spain's, I think, minus 510. Yes. I don't know. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think
come on.
Spain will win. Spain will win 2-0 is what I've
done.
Is your home an ADT home? If not, you have to get ADT and help protect against break-ins, fire, and carbon monoxide. For a limited time, get ADT's lowest rate starting at just $28.99 a month from the most trusted name in home security. Go to ADT.com/podcast to take advantage of ADT's lowest rate.
With 36-month monitoring contract, early termination and installation fees apply. Excludes taxes and fees. Applies to traditional services only. Certain markets excluded. Licenses available at ADT.com.
Listen up, people. We got a big favor to ask, and we promise it won't take too much of your time. Our show is supported by some fantastic sponsors, right? Well, we'd love to hear your feedback. Head to ESPNpodcaststudy.com and fill out a short, anonymous survey. That's it. We swear. No more. Again, that's ESPNpodcaststudy.com. Golic and Wingo with you on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. And all phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. You can leave us a voicemail at 860-506-5505. We'll play some of those a little bit later. We've talked about the topics. What would you walk away from $70 million for with the idea that that's what Kawhi is going to do? if he opts out or wants to be traded and avoids the Supermax contract with the Spurs. And again, people have said, well, he can make it up. No, you can get another $70 million.
Right, you can, but you're not making up that $70 million.
You're not making up the $70
exactly
you're
right.
walking away from. People seem to have a problem with that. You can get others. It's like Mike, when you go to a casino and you have $200 and you bet $200 and you lose it. And then you go to the ATM thinking, well, I'll go get $200 more to get that money back.
Get that money back.
No,
I got to get
that money's gone.
Yeah, it's exactly
that
right.
That $200's gone. You can risk another $200,
right.
but you're not getting that $200 back. That one is out into the atmosphere, into the ether. So we got a lot going on here. We had Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, on earlier with us, and we had some interesting discussions with him about topics in the NBA, including the draft, the one-and-done rule, and what they're doing to try and get that 1% from the casinos.
Yes.
And the sports books that are now legal in Delaware and New Jersey and other states will be taking place. We'll have some of that for you in a little bit. Plus, a world record attempt that did not go so well.
Did not go well. They attempted it. I give them credit for how they attempted it.
I did not see this coming. How did that possibly happen?
Yeah, and they got a new appreciation for what that world record is.
For our guy, Tony Finau.
That's exactly
and
right.
Stephen Tinoco, is that his name? All
yes.
right. We'll get into all of that, but first, we'll start with what's trending. And I think baseball has the corner on this market more than any other sport I can remember, which is injuries for really bizarre reasons. Giants closer, Hunter Strickland, got upset, blew a lead.
Fourth blown save. I mean, Giants were leading 4-2 on Monday night. He got in at the top of the ninth, 2 walks, double, 2 singles, 3 runs later. He did something bad.
Yep.
After the bad pitching.
After he did. He punched the door.
Yeah, he did.
There's ramifications when you punch things. Just ask LeBron.
Uh-huh.
And he broke his pinky.
Yes, he did.
On his pitching hand. He is now at 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, he is.
And the question that's interesting here, Mike, is how much will that determine whether San Francisco stays in this thing or suddenly becomes sellers as opposed to buyers as the trade deadline gets closer.
The way he's been blowing saves, they may, not mind him. That's awful
anyway,
to say.
We'll find out. We'll find out on that level. But right now, San Francisco is 36-38.
Right.
They're 4.5 games out. The Diamondbacks are in first. The Dodgers are climbing.
Right.
And remember, they were all in on a couple of veterans.
Oh, they were.
McCutchen.
And Longoria.
And Longoria. And Longoria's, right, he's out for a while too, right? So are they going to become sellers? Because they have some very interesting pieces that teams like the Yankees might be really interested in if it goes forward.
That's we hope it's a good, juicy trade deadline talk.
We need it.
Yes, we do.
We need it. So again, he is...
Punched the door, broke his finger, been down that road. My son Jake did it his freshman year at football at Northwest Catholic. Trying to rile up the team, punched the wall and broke his hand before the game. Not smart.
But baseball, maybe because of the length of the season, seems to have more of these than any other sport.
Plus we have seen pitchers lose their mind in the dugout. They beat the heck out of the Gatorade, jug, the whole deal, throw stuff. So we've certainly seen them flip out before.
My favorite baseball-related injury of all time, there was a Cubs player named Glenn Allen Hill.
Sure.
I think he played for the Blue Jays as well. He had a dream that he was being attacked by spiders.
Oh, yeah.
So he woke up and sort of sleptwalked and went through a plate glass door.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I remember that story. Always great baseball injuries are always a good one.
He was afraid he was being bitten by spiders.
Yeah.
And
who wouldn't be afraid of that?
Nobody.
Yeah.
But maybe he was with Toronto. Maybe it wasn't with the Cubs. I don't know.
It was with a team in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, well, he played for Toronto. He played for the Cubs. But I can't remember when he had the dream.
Yeah,
but he was having a nightmare that he was being bitten by spiders, and he ran through a plate glass door.
Yeah, but he had a lot more to deal with.
That will always be one of my favorite ones of all time. All right, World Cup action underway today. Portugal taking on Morocco. Hey! And they're in the second. They've just started the second half.
Yes, they did.
And Portugal is up 1-0 on another goal by Cristiano Ronaldo.
His fourth of in a game and a half. He has 4 goals. Where from what was it, 06 to 14 in 13 World Cup matches, he had 3 goals total.
He's doing well.
Yeah, I would say he's doing well, and so is Portugal doing well right now. 1-0 over Morocco, a team that I have in our snake draft, so I'm not very happy about that.
Well, no, and
I have Uruguay as well against Saudi Arabia, so I'm happy about that.
That comes up a little later.
At 11 o'clock, and then Iran and Spain at 2 o'clock.
And Taylor just told me that England would be good against Tunisia, although it took a little longer than anticipated.
Well, that's going out on a limb?
Woo!
Seriously?
Apparently it needed to be.
Okay.
And then I've got Spain today taking on Iran, and he said we're good. Maybe a 2-0 win. He likes Spain.
Predicting scores
over
right.
Iran.
Okay.
By the way, correction, it was with Toronto in 1990.
I feel
Glenn
good
Allen
about
Hill.
it all now that we got that.
We got that straight.
Away.
We are the pettiest show in America. It is very important to get that situation straightened out. And you want people to be confident, Mike. You want guys that you draft to believe they're the best. You don't have to always say it, but you want them to believe it. Michael Porter Jr. believes it.
He does. He said, I would say in an interview on CBS Sports Radio, compared his game to that of Giannis Antetokounmpo and Kevin Durant and Tracy McGrady. Right now, I would say I'm a mix of Giannis and KD. I like going to the hole a little more than KD does. I like bumping into people, and I'm a little more physical than KD, but I like to shoot the ball a little more like Antetokounmpo. Okay, great. Why don't you just go play your game, and then we'll decide who you play like, okay?
Right.
Listen,
you're not a fan of this.
That's something I'm never going to get over, and you want to call me the old man or whatever, that's fine. You got
Play the drop.
You got
Oh, yeah.
You got Trae Young out there saying, I want to do something that's never been done before. Why don't people just go play?
Yeah.
Let your play talk. You don't have to give all the adjectives for how good you think you're going to be. If you play well, we'll come up with the adjectives for you. I don't get it, but you know what? I throw my hands out. I'm going to complain about it, but we've heard more and more people do it. For whatever reason, they do it. We always get asked about it, and I never am. When I get asked that before the football draft, what player does he remind you of? I said, nobody, because he isn't in the NFL yet. So we're going to see what kind of player he is once he gets to the NFL before I start saying he plays like this guy. I can't stand that. And now when guys are doing it themselves, like Porter is, he's a mix of three NBA
It's a really good three, though.
Well, you think he's going to pick three scrubs? I mean, seriously. So I don't know. I am not a big fan at all. Best thing you can do, man, is let your play speak.
Well, the first guy that I can remember doing this in recent vintage was Cam Newton. Cam Newton before the 2011 draft. I can't remember. He said he wanted to be. It wasn't a world entertainer. He wanted to be. I can't remember the line. We're trying to find it. But he wanted to be this. And I'm like, just worry about being a
Everybody wants to be it. Wants
worry
to
about
be
being
this,
a quarterback.
Wants to be that.
Yeah.
And you haven't dribbled a ball yet. You haven't taken a snap yet. You haven't done anything in that. Just go do that first.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Get tired of that.
Yeah, well.
I mean, listen, not to the point where I'm going, I sound like I'm really angry about it. I don't care all that much. But if you're going to ask me what I think about it, I'm going to tell you. I think it's ridiculous.
Well, Deshaun Kaiser said he has Tom Brady's brain in Cam Newton's body.
Great.
And that got him
lasted a year and got traded.
And traded. He's about the backup in Green Bay.
Yeah.
So maybe
again,
it is.
Most of the time, what happens 99% of the time when you do stuff like that comes back to haunt you.
Correct.
Doesn't it?
And we'll see what happens. Look, again, a lot of people think if it weren't for the surgically repaired back, Porter would be one of the top 3 players in this draft.
And you know what he still has to do? Go play.
Correct. Although it is curious that you are that young and you have to have a surgically repaired back. That's
a tough call.
That's a medical
tough call.
We're talking about this with Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah.
You just don't want to have that. Obviously, there's more contact in the NFL. I get it. But we'll see what happens with Michael Porter going. He could be a steal. If he's
absolutely
there, if he's there for Cleveland or even the Knicks at 8 or 9, he could absolutely be a steal. Golic and Wingo with you on ESPN Radio and ESPN News, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. So we have the draft coming up tomorrow, and we have the idea of a relationship trying to be salvaged, Mike, between the San Antonio Spurs and their superstar, Kawhi Leonard. They met in Los Angeles. And the idea of Pop going to Kawhi, because Kawhi is from there, he's very publicly, as Woj said, it's like he put out an all-points bulletin, because every NBA insider at the exact same time said, I've just learned that Kawhi Leonard is seeking a trade and wants to go to Los Angeles from San Antonio. As Woj said on when he was on with us earlier, it doesn't come out in that way unless it's very orchestrated. So the question then becomes, can this relationship be saved? And what would it cost? And here's Ramona Shelburne, our NBA insider, basically saying $70 million does not matter to Kawhi Leonard.
I don't know if the money would even matter anymore. That's really saying something in terms of where the trust and the relationship is. $219 million is a lot of money, and you really can't do anything. I mean, if he goes elsewhere and he signs, it's $70 million different. That's a lot of money to leave on the table over trust issues, right? But I think that's where we are. It'll be interesting to see over the next couple of days how this plays out, because the draft is Thursday. That's the first hurdle. And if you are interested in players in this draft, one of the teams in Los Angeles has 2 lottery picks. They're not the highest lottery picks. It's 12 and 13, but there's other teams that may take a swing here. So if you're the Spurs, they had to have this meeting before the draft and look them in the eye and get a sense of where things really stood.
And again, it looks like broken trust issue will mean he's going to forego.
Yeah, we'll see.
$70 million.
What we don't know. We know they met. We don't know what happened. Pop did this with LaMarcus Aldridge, who, had some trepidation about coming back to the Spurs last year.
Yep.
They met the previous summer, and LaMarcus had a heck of a year.
He did,
without question. So, could Pop pull off that magic again? Can they get past, and can Kawhi get past what he deems to be the whatever the split in the relationship was enough to stay there and then get all that money, or is he going to walk away from $70 million? Again, he's making a ton of money, but $70 million is still $70 million.
It's still $70 million.
It's a lot of money.
By the way, Ramona was on Freddie and Fitzsimmons right here on ESPN Radio. So that's one of the questions we put out there on our voicemail line, 860-506-5505. What would cost you to walk away from $70 million? And again, understand, yes, you can go make more, but that 70 is still gone. It's in the ether. It's disappeared. Nada, zip, zero, zilch. You don't got it. So what would it take for you to walk away from $70 million? Ladies and gentlemen, here's what you would do.
I was just calling to tell you that I would give up $70 million for Alabama to win another national championship. Thank you.
Well, thank you, sir. First of all, how you're not an FM DJ, I don't know. That guy's
he needs voiceover work.
Yeah. However, doesn't Alabama win every other year?
Pick a year.
All right.
I mean,
that seems like a lot. I would get it if it was like Vanderbilt.
Yeah, someone who's never, ever had or maybe a Washington Capitals fan before this year.
Correct.
Something like that. But you're in it every year and you win it every other year.
Let me just say, I admire that fan's commitment.
You're not kidding, but there is no way.
I question the sanity, but I admire the commitment.
Wow.
I mean, for Alabama, they win it every other year.
That is amazing.
Dude, first of all, you need to be a DJ, wherever that guy is. You need to be a DJ or voiceover work. And secondly, I think you want to rethink this. I'm looking out for your best interests. I think you want to rethink this. Okay, so that's one person's voice. Here's another one. What you would walk away from, what would make you walk away from $70 million?
I'd give up $7 million for some good old fried taters.
That's got to be the same guy.
That's the same guy.
It's got to be the same guy.
And he said $7 million. He didn't even say $70 million.
Can we make sure the next one isn't the same guy?
Can we make sure again?
That's got to be the same guy.
Are they playing a joke on us now? Is our petty staff playing a petty joke? Is Ashton
Kutcher on here? Are we being punked?
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Oh no.
Okay, so we're going to try this again. What would cause you to walk away? They're laughing already for $70 million.
What would I walk away from $70 million? To have a date with Charlize Theron. I'm going to go inside and have a beer now. Have a good day, guys.
Okay. I'm not sure I understand this one either. He would walk away from a date with Charlize Theron?
For a date.
For a date.
I think for a date.
Okay, let's play that one again just to make sure we got this clear. Let's make sure.
What would I walk away from $70 million? To have a date with Charlize Theron. I'm going to go inside and have a beer now. Have a good day, guys.
Okay. So he would give up the opportunity of $70 million if on the other side he could have a date with Charlize Theron, right?
Luka Doncic is not even going to give up 70. He's going to make money, and he wants to have.
Who was in here early? That's friend. Oh, Max Bretos. Max Bretos. We can make this work. There you go.
Yeah.
Now you were saying
that Luka Doncic has said he's 19 years old and he says he has a bit of a crush on Jennifer Aniston. No, who doesn't?
Well, yeah,
I mean, quite honestly,
take a number, right?
Beautiful, young lady. Well, young lady. Well, yeah, young.
She's just beautiful.
Yes, she's beautiful. There you go.
Beautiful.
He also wants to posterize Kristaps Porzingis, which is pretty interesting. He says, I can jump that high, but he can jump too, so that's a problem. So that would be interesting. He also says, I just like tigers. If I go to the U.S., I will buy a tiger like Mike Tyson. So he wants to date Jennifer Aniston, he wants to posterize Porzingis, and he wants to buy a tiger.
Okay.
There you go.
You know what that reminds me of?
Things you may not have known about Luka Doncic.
The old commercial with the Russian guy that had the mini giraffes.
Oh, yeah.
Opulence. I love it.
Yeah.
Right? The tiger thing, I'm a little concerned. I don't think he's thought this thing through.
He sees Mike Tyson with a tiger, wants a tiger.
Does Mike Tyson actually have a tiger?
Or was that just a hangover?
Or did he just have a tiger in the hangover?
Yeah.
Let's get research on that.
Yeah.
Let's get Riley on that. This is the most important question of the day.
I thought he had actually owned a tiger.
I'm not sure about that. I know that he had a tiger in the movie The Hangover they somehow snuck into a cab and got into the Caesar's
hotel.
Palace.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't know about that one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not so sure. By the way, our researcher Riley can do anything. She'll find this out whether or not he has a tiger.
Yeah, we'll find out. We'll get it.
Because I asked her, I couldn't figure out what exactly Cam had said, and this is what he said, going on, how great you want to be and all this kind of stuff. This is what he told Peter King during a phone call he had before the draft in 2011. I see myself not only as a football player, but an entertainer and icon, Cam said.
If he'd have stopped at entertainer, I'd have been okay. A football player and I'm an entertainer, but an icon?
Sure. Well, at this point, if you're going down that road, you might as well go Jim Fossil, put all the chips in.
Yeah.
I mean, you might as well push all the chips to the middle of the table. And Cam has come out with some of those videos. Remember he made the video on Instagram for his birthday?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
A music video about himself celebrating his birthday?
Yes, he did.
So he's going there.
All right, and the last thing we want to get through, we had the world record attempt
Spit it
yesterday,
out, Mike.
Is Devin and my son Mike tried to break the world record. Tony Finau and Steven Tinoco. Finau hit a ball 110 yards, and Steven was catching them. He's a former minor league baseball player. Finau is a phenomenal golfer.
Correct.
They set the record at 12 catches in a minute. So Devin and Mike tried to do it yesterday. And I gave them 3 attempts because Finau and Steven needed 3 attempts. So I gave them 3 attempts. A minute 15, and a minute 30. The first round, they caught none because Devin couldn't hit the ball straight. Devin, would you agree? You were horrible the first round.
I was nervous.
You were horrible. Forgetting nervous, you were horrible.
A little nervous.
Okay.
He was nervously horrible.
Second round, Devin hit much better, and Mike caught the first one. They ended up catching 3. I was somewhat impressed by that when we put the over-under at 3.5.
You got a little nervous?
And he caught 3. When he caught the first one, I did get a little nervous. And then the third attempt, Devin probably had his best round. I would say he had 8 to 10 that were catchable. Mike caught 1. Mike was horrible in the third round.
So Devin let us down in the first round.
Second round, they were both pretty good.
Yeah.
And the third round, Mike absolutely caved in on that one.
Completely?
Completely. So they did not get the world record, which means they do not get to split one of my paychecks, which means they have to wash my car, and we will have video of this, just like we had video of the golf attempt.
No.
Of them washing my car in Speedos using their bodies as washcloths.
No.
I will not be anywhere near that or present to watch
You
that.
have to be this because you set it up. This is all on you.
What part of the car, Devin, are you going to wash with your body?
I'm thinking the I'll cover the front half. How's
the
that?
Front half?
Yeah.
I hope you cover the front half.
Please cover the back half,
too.
That's
exactly right.
I'm just making clear on that.
Wow.
By the way, I told you Riley, our researcher, was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
She's awesome. She pulled it out. She put it this is an email. This is the most important research I've done today. Mike Tyson not only owned a tiger, he once owned 3 tigers.
3 tigers?
3 tigers. So,
okay.
So he had the hat trick, Riley, when it comes to tigers?
The hat trick, yes.
Okay, but he wouldn't hug a koala bear, apparently, in that same story. He was not happy or a little terrified at the koala bear, but he has 3 tigers.
Okay. There you go.
You learn something new every day on this show.
Yes, you do.
You learn something new every day.
All right.
So we now have more appreciation for world records with a professional golfer.
Yeah, Devin said he has a greater appreciation for a professional golfer. Really? Just because you got winded golfing?
Well, the thing is now that Junior and I were talking, we're going to look at other sports world records, and we're going to try to break them this summer. It's going to be a summer of world records here.
Let me just say, like guy said to Liam Neeson in Taken, good luck.
You know what? I appreciate the chutzpah of that.
Well,
I'm with you.
Speaking of chutzpah, I have to do it. Cliff said Jennifer Aniston is overrated.
Oh.
This is Cliff. Let me just say this right now.
Cliff, for crying out loud!
Seriously, Cliff, Jennifer Aniston.
Don't. Just let the world know that's Cliff's hot take on that. Okay, and we're moving on.
Okay.
30 for 30 podcasts have returned. Subscribe to 30 for 30 podcasts right now in the Listen tab of the ESPN app or on Apple Podcasts. Brought to you by Delta, where it's our goal to connect your life in the air to your life on the ground.
Hey everyone, Mike Golic here. Support for the Golic Wingo podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. Rocket Mortgage is simple, allowing you to fully understand all the details and be confident you're getting the right mortgage for you. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS, consumeraccess.org number 3030. Is your home an ADT home? If not, you have to get ADT and help protect against break-ins, fire, and carbon monoxide. For a limited time, get ADT's lowest rate starting at just $28.99 a month from the most trusted name in home security. Go to ADT.com/podcast to take advantage of ADT's lowest rate.
With 36-month monitoring contract, early termination and installation fees apply. Excludes taxes and fees. Applies to traditional services only. Certain markets excluded. Licenses available at ADT.com.
We are the pettiest show in the world, and that's we're gonna die on that hill. Golic and Wingo, ESPN Radio and ESPN News, presented by Progressive Insurance. Our phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Again, we'll take your voicemails, 860-506-5505. Breaking news ahead of the NBA draft. It's big news involving a very prominent player.
It's a Woj bomb.
It's a Woj bomb.
Woj bomb. Woj bomb.
According to Adrian Wojnarowski, Charlotte is finalizing a deal to send Dwight Howard to the Brooklyn Nets for Timothy Mozgov, lead sources tell ESPN. The Nets will save $17 million on the deal in 2019-2020 season, but more importantly, Mike, it creates 2 max salary slots for the Nets.
I mean, and listen, that's great, but
we all in there. We're getting 2 max slots.
Who are they getting?
Kawhi LeBron.
Yeah,
Kawhi LeBron and the Nets.
Listen, more power to create them to try and say we're going after them, but going after and getting are going to be 2 different things. Look at the career of Dwight Howard. Remember way back when,
Superman,
on the cover of every magazine when he came out of high school, of what he was, and I believe he was sharing the magazine covers with Emeka Okafor coming out of UConn. Yeah. It was one that the high school kid, the other out of college out of UConn. So he spends the first 8 years in Orlando, and then he goes for that year in LA where, man, that didn't go well. And then 3 years in Houston, then a year in Atlanta, now a year in Charlotte. Now, how long will he be with the Nets? It's been pretty interesting for that guy who was such a specimen, coming into the league.
He still is.
Still is a specimen, coming into the league. And so we'll see. Again, 2 slots, 2 max slots. So they have it, but can you fill it?
Well, they can. The question is will they fill it with the right people.
Yeah, exactly.
So, again, that's the first little nugget that has fallen pre-NBA draft, which is coming up tomorrow. And because of that, we had Commissioner Adam Silver on with us, talking about a bunch of things in the NBA. And one of the things that obviously is going to generate a lot of discussion is what happens with the one-and-done rule. It is an NBA rule, not an NCAA rule, and the commissioner was kind enough to enlighten us on his position about this thing is going to be changing.
If we were to change the age from 19 to 18, you can just imagine how rich that draft class will be, because in essence, we'll have 2 classes coming in at once. And again, that maybe there's something different we need to do that year. We've had very preliminary discussions with the Players Association about what would happen in that case, but we really haven't sat down either frankly with our owners or the Players Association to have more extensive discussions about whether the right thing for the league is to move a year earlier.
One thing I do love about Adam is that he has these discussions with everybody involved. Sure. And, the other thing to me, Mike, that is going to be interesting is where do they go with the NCAA and a couple of other issues down the road from what we're talking about?
Well, if they get this. And again, if this happens, it would be basically the 21 to the 22 season, because you don't want to mess with some of the trades that have already happened that involve first-round picks and then change the dynamics of that first round. So that's why it wouldn't happen for a few years. But then, what goes along with it? You can't just change. I guess you can, but the whole thought, and we've heard the NBA talk about it, was give players coming out of high school more options than just going to the NBA. Make the G League more approachable to them. Make it a better option for them. Right now, you can make $26,000. Make it more. Make that league better, because, listen, not everybody wants to go to college.
Yep.
So make that G League a little better. We know there's the league in Australia that will pay guys $76,000, so players could not go to college, go play there to get ready for the NBA draft if they have to wait, or if they're just not good enough but still don't want to go to college and want to go get paid before they go into the NBA. So that, I agree with you. What are the, outside of just changing this back to what it was, which was you can come out of high school.
Right.
What other ancillary things will come along with it?
Well, we had Lon Kruger on earlier this week, Oklahoma head coach, obviously, to talk about Trae Young and where he may go in the draft after his one-and-done year. But he brought up a very good point that he'd like to see, which is if these guys go into the draft, especially in the NBA, because let's be honest, You could be a first-round draft pick, and it might not work out, let alone be drafted in the second round. Now, we've seen players be successful in the second round, but this is a very specific draft about being very high in the first round. That's just the way this goes. And let's say you declare yourself eligible for the draft, and it doesn't go the way you want. You should have the ability to come back and still play as an amateur, as long as you don't sign and take money. Although we've seen baseball players take millions of dollars. Right. Kyler Murray, the Oklahoma starting quarterback, is at, a $5 million contract, and he's still considered, because he's playing football, an amateur in the eyes of the NCAA. I would love to see a situation where you go through the draft process, you say you're eligible, and if it doesn't work out, yeah, I don't think I want to do this.
You mean after the draft, though? Then what about the teams that draft a guy and all of a sudden he doesn't want to play for him? Do you retain, and then he gets to go back in the draft? Do you just lose? You have a draft, and then you're just saying, you lose. That kid doesn't want to play for you. He wants to go back to college. So
happens in baseball all the time.
For that ninth pick of the draft, you got nothing.
Happens in baseball all the time. You're drafted in baseball, and now I get it. It's different with baseball, farm system. I get all that stuff,
right.
But it isn't play. You can be drafted in baseball, and you can say no thanks. I'm gonna go back and continue playing college or do whatever. So it is that I understand the difficulties that are involved there, but it is happening. It is happening right now. So that's something that I think is very interesting. The other thing that's going to be interesting with the NBA going forward is their desire for more money, because there will be more legal money,
gambling. Right.
Gambling. It's in Delaware. It's in New Jersey. It's going to be in a couple of other states. And Adam Silver has been very adamant up front. Hey, if they're betting on gambling involving the NBA, we believe we should get a part of that. I believe the figure he mentioned once was 1%. You asked him about that, how he's going to do that. Here was his response.
From our standpoint, we created this content in the NBA this year. Believe it or not, we'll spend roughly, close to $8 billion this year, in the NBA, a combination of our arenas, paying the players, all our expenses and everything else. It would just seem natural that to the extent that the casinos are going to then take that content and in a for-profit business, of course, then use it to make money, that the NBA or whatever sports league, and including the players, are involved in the creation of that content, should get some sort of share.
Now, I think he's making a very compelling argument.
Well, I mean, but he is. And the first thing he said was his idea of 1%. He said the casinos weren't really too keen on that idea.
Shocker.
Well, I guess my response, especially if I'm a casino owner or where you can legalize gambling right now, is where were you when Vegas was doing this?
Right.
Any of you guys sue Vegas? Any of you guys sue the casinos there that were using all the information that you were just talking about and using it to set their lines and have wages bet legally there, and nobody said boo, at least that we don't know about. Was there a lawsuit I don't know about? Did they go after money that we don't know about? They didn't do it. So now I don't know if that matters going forward. If somebody brings up, if they try to get a lawsuit together to get money, people say, well, you didn't do it in Vegas. I don't know if that's legally a reason to say, well, okay, the lawsuit's gone. I imagine you can still do it, but nobody tried it then.
Yeah.
I don't know the reason why nobody tried it then when they were using all the info, and we'll see where that goes. I know I would, unless, because the way it's going to work out, it seems every state's going to kind of be independently doing their own thing.
Yep.
Okay? So now that's going to be, you have obviously some states are going to have some pro sports in those states. Do you work out your own deal with them? That to me is going to be what the interesting part of this. Would you get the individual deals with these teams? Because I don't think, at least I don't think in the beginning it's not going to be federally legislated.
Well, it isn't at the moment, and that's the NFL is taking.
I know the NFL wants that.
Yeah, the NFL is taking a different approach.
I think all the teams would want that.
Yeah,
but then some of the teams want a piece.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting about that too is the Supreme Court basically just said, hey, federal legislation on this topic, we're punting on it.
Yeah.
Now you can try and do it on your own again, so if they just broke a federal law on this topic, the question then becomes, how inclined would Congress or somebody else to wade into this mess when they've got some other stuff that they're dealing with right now? Okay, so the question then becomes, do you think it's better for the federal government to enact, or do you think every state should be on its own?
Well, I think you'd like one set of universal rules.
Right.
So,
I know the leagues would, but the states might feel differently about it.
Absolutely, the states might feel differently about it. Listen, I don't know, in all honesty, enough about gambling to know which would be better, if you could run it individually or if it's legislated, nationwide. So it's I'm not going to sit here and try and pretend like I do. I know if I was a league, I would like it legislated universally so it's one set of rules for everybody instead of negotiating with each individual state. So that's what I know a league would want, and that's what I would imagine that's the route I would want to go.
Well, again, a congressional hearing on sports betting is being scheduled for next week in Washington, D.C., with the NFL among those invited to testify, according to ESPN. So we'll see how that plays out. Again, the states are very happy at the moment.
Yes, they are.
And I'm not sure they're going to be so happy if it goes back to the other way. Right. The leagues want it the other way.
Everyone in the neighborhood knew about Bobby. Bobby, the basketball boy, they called him. Bobby wanted to go pro someday, so he was always out in the driveway shooting hoops. But one day, his mom came out and told him, "Hey, your wife wants you to take out the trash." His mom was visiting, and Bobby was a grown man. He had kind of missed his window. Plus, no one had ever seen him actually make a basket. But on the other hand, Bobby had heard how Geico could save him money on car insurance, so he switched and saved. So it was all good.
Okay, if you weren't with us last segment, just a few mere seconds ago, we went through some tweets about the failed world record.
Yes, again, my son and Devin, 13 golf balls caught by Devin hitting the ball 110 yards, Mike having to catch them. They failed.
Yeah.
So, but they did say, Devin, what did you say you and Mike wanted to continue to do?
Just world records all summer. Just find some obscure sports world records that we can achieve.
Okay.
So we found one.
We found one for you. Buster did.
Yeah.
Buster found one for you.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Yeah.
Farthest marshmallow blown out of a nostril and into the mouth of a catcher. This is real, gang. Yeah. 17 feet 11 inches achieved by launcher Paul Prado and catcher Sofia Rojas on the set of Guinness World Records Gone Wild in L.A.
And I said this in the break, and I think I need to say it on the air. I would much rather see your son soaked up in a Speedo than catch a marshmallow in my mouth from somebody else's booger canal.
Yeah.
That's just not happening. There's just no way
Devin,
that's
if you guys
happening.
were to do that, who would be the launcher and who would be the catcher?
I was just going to say, I think we'd have to reverse roles on what we did on this last one. I think I'd have to catch.
You would catch a marshmallow coming out of my son's nose.
I don't think I have the power, the capacity to do that.
It would have to go 17 feet 11 inches.
Okay. So enjoy your breakfast, everybody.
Yeah, that's almost 6 yards.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's insane on so many levels.
Wow.
By the way, we had a Woj bomb earlier. Mm-hmm. Charlotte Hornets
Woj bomb.
Dwight Howard.
Woj bomb.
To the Brooklyn Nets for Center Timothy Mozgov, 2 future second-round picks and cash. Basically, all this does, it opens up 2 max slots for the Nets 2 years from now.
2 years from now, 2020.
So they're basically they're saying next 2 years it's going to be like last year's, not so good, but in 2 years we're going to be good.
Right.
2019 free agent.
2019 free agent.
So 1 year from now.
1 year.
Well, that's interesting now because of the thing that Woj and other people said. Maybe LeBron and some of these guys signed for 1 year.
1 year deal.
And then they do this.
Right.
Okay, so it's for 2019. All right, that makes it a
2 max
little
slots.
more interesting.
There you go.
Speaking of interesting, Lincoln Riley, who had his first year as the head coach of the Oklahoma Sooners.
First year, 1 year out of his original 5-year deal.
Yep.
On the first year of that, $3.1 million. So 4 years left on his deal, and he already got a what?
A 5-year, $25 million extension.
So basically, he has 9 more years left on his deal.
Yeah. But see, here's how this works out.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Leverage is everything. And I can promise you that a lot of people in the NFL are very interested in the concepts offensively that Lincoln Riley has run.
Okay.
In fact, Herbie, our good friend Kirk Herbstreit, in a recent interview with the Dallas Morning News in the pre-draft process, said he heard as many as 28 coaches in the NFL have been in contact about some of the offense that Lincoln Riley's running. It's not your typical Big 12 spread, run and shoot offense. It's a little more complicated than that. And then Herbstreit went on to say he believes that if the Cowboys ever are thinking about making a coaching change from Jason Garrett, he believes that Lincoln Riley is on a very short list that they would get in touch with.
Understood.
Yes.
So how does this delay that?
It doesn't.
Okay, I mean, I guess that's my
unless
point.
Unless it proves how happy one can be in Norman, Oklahoma with scads of money.
Right, but I guess my point is, okay, you did this. He had 4 years left on the deal, so you're not interrupting any kind of recruiting circuit right now. You still have plenty of time left on your deal. You made it 9 more years. If one of the reasons is for fear an NFL team's going to come after you, so what?
Yeah.
We don't
know what the buyouts are or anything like that.
You think that matters?
I don't know.
Especially a guy like Jerry Jones?
No. But
not a thing.
All I'm saying is I think they're trying to show the love to Lincoln.
Oh, no, I
in
agree
hopes
with that.
Maybe the love will be reciprocated.
I agree with that. And if anybody ever wants to make that stepping stone in the NFL, 4 years left on a deal, 9 years left on the deal, it don't matter. And if they want to go and they get offered and they feel like going, they're going to go.
Yeah.
That's just the way it works now. And the team will take care of the NFL team will take care of the buyout.
But I'm telling you, Lincoln Riley is a very, very
he's a hot
popular
name.
name.
I get that completely.
Very popular name.
Completely understand
And what people
that.
don't understand, a lot of people, when they see the offense and they see the Big 12, well, everybody throws it up and down the field of the Big 12. It's a different looking offense.
It is different, and so we'll see. Could Baker Mayfield be one to break the mold right now of Big 12 quarterbacks that have been drafted high and that have not come to fruition in the NFL?
Yes.
We know of another, the last number one, Sam Bradford, out of the same college, right?
And RG3 was second in
RG3
2012.
was second, and for Bradford, I know it's been some injuries, but if you would you say he was worth the number one pick right now? Sam Bradford?
No.
No.
Well, listen, it's so much because of injury that the Cardinals who employ him went into the top 10 to get a quarterback. With Josh Rosen.
So we'll all see what Patrick Mahomes does. Because everybody talking.
That's the guy.
It is, but again,
that's the guy.
He barely played, so we'll see. But I know there's a lot of. I love what I saw out of him, but I loved what I've seen out of some other Big 12 quarterbacks. But there is okay, let's wait and see when them windows tighten up and all that, how it's all going to go.
Well, Andy Reid and company are so all in on Patrick Mahomes that Alex Smith had literally in every statistical way the best,
and they dumped him.
Best career year in his NFL. And they couldn't get rid of him fast enough because they're all in on Patrick Mahomes. We're not saying they're right. We're saying that's where they are in their belief.
Their belief
in Patrick Mahomes. Mm-hmm. And coming up tomorrow, we'll get people's beliefs on what's going to happen in the NBA draft.
Mm-hmm.
The NBA draft is coming up. We can hear it on ESPN Radio. You can listen to it on ESPN. It's also going to be on the ESPN app. And we'll find out just how much centers matter anymore. Because 4 of the top 5 prospects are centers. It's supposed to be a little guy league. We'll find out. The draft is underway on Thursday. We'll take you through it tomorrow. Thank